Hey everyone, today I'll be going through all of my settings for Chapter 5, Season 4 of Fortnite. And let's just jump right into it. First off, I have controller auto run on. I only play 0 builds, so I kind of just ignore the build immediately and edit hold time. Doesn't really matter much. I have a pretty high slide hold time at 0.131 seconds. That is a lot higher than most people have it set to, but I don't like to accidentally slide. If you ever slide, the visualized audio for everyone else will activate from much farther away. So if you're ever trying to sneak up on someone and you accidentally slide, or if you slide on purpose, they will probably know that you're there. So I like to keep my slide hold time a little bit higher just so I never ever accidentally slide. Next up, we have vibration. Make sure your controller vibration is off. I cannot stress this enough. Vibration is something that could never help you, only hurt you. If your controller is vibrating at all, it might mess up your aiming, might mess up anything. Never good to have on. Quick weapons, I don't have them on. I don't have any of this stuff on. I know there are some people who use it and try it, kind of like it. As of right now, I don't use it. Maybe one day. And then we move down to sensitivity, and we always have advanced options on. If you don't have advanced options on, doing it wrong. Make sure you put that on no matter what. Always have this on. Next is my actual look sensitivity, and I run a pretty low sense. I used to run a lot higher sensitivity a little bit ago, and I recently lowered it, and I've been liking it a lot. I run a 3129 horizontal vertical. I feel like this is a pretty good sensitivity. It lets you still turn pretty quickly or quick enough where it won't hurt you in any way while still being able to be precise with all of your shots. Really good with your AR aim, really good with shotgun aim, really good with everything. No boosts. Never have boosts on. I don't know anyone who really has these boosts on. Really hard to be consistent with. Next, we have our ADS sensitivity. I have a super low ADS sensitivity. 7 for both horizontal and vertical, which really lowers my sensitivity whenever I'm ADSing and lets me be precise from a distance when I'm using an AR or any kind of ranged weapon, AR, sniper, anything like that. I'm able to be precise because I have a low ADS sensitivity. I liked using the DMR before when it was in the game. Any kind of weapon that's similar to that, always like using, and a big reason why I'm able to be successful with that is because I have a low ADS sense. Again, no boosts here though. Never use boosts. At least I don't use boosts. I don't know anyone who does use boosts. I don't recommend using boosts. Next up, look dampening time, fully off. Don't use that. And the biggest thing, look input curve. You have 2 options here, linear or exponential. You always want linear. I cannot stress this enough. Some people like linear, some people like exponential. Linear is the better option. Back in the day of hit scan weapons, exponential was an okay option. What exponential does is it makes your sense move exponentially. So it starts slow and then goes fast, which is really good for things like micro adjusting your sense when you're trying to aim at someone from far away, which is good when you're using hit scan weapons. But now that nothing is hit scan, hitting shots from far away is already difficult, and having exponential on doesn't really help with that. All it does is make it harder to hit shots from close range, because if you have exponential on, you can no longer flick. You can't turn very quickly and flick your aim, can't shotgun flick. It makes shotgun fighting, SMG fighting, all the close quarters aim much more difficult and actually impossible to do in some situations. So always use linear, never use exponential. Linear. Aim assist strength, you always want it 100%. There is no reason to ever lower this. I know some people will say, oh, lower aim assist to train yourself and then you put it up whenever you're playing the actual game. No, there's no reason to ever practice on lower aim assist strength. Dead zones, I do recommend having a somewhat high-ish dead zone. This setting is a little bit more personalized and kind of depends on your controller. If you're getting some stick drift, you want to turn it up. You do want to have some kind of baseline dead zone. So I do run a 16 and a 17. I do think that's a good starting point. This is kind of something that really just needs to be adjusted for you individually, and also just depends on what controller you're using and the condition of that controller. Foot controller on. I have it on. I don't use a foot controller. When this was a setting that came out years ago, I heard some people say, oh, if you have it on, it helps you even though you don't have anything connected to it. I heard some people say, oh, if you have it off, it helps you. I've heard everything. Let's keep it on. I don't know if it makes a difference. Maybe it's placebo at this point. Vehicles accelerate with stick. I just have on a huge setting. The rest most of these rocket racing settings don't matter to me or anything like that. I'm going to very quickly scroll through my binds here. These are all of my binds. I have them on like this. They're pretty normal and generic. I don't even really use my build binds ever. I always have building unbound. I have them currently bound a little bit just for like a random build things I've been doing, but I don't even use building, so that doesn't really matter. But these are all kind of my normal settings if you wanted to know what those were. Here are my generic settings. Toggle sprint, always one on. Auto open doors, I have off. I recommend you have it off. Never want to accidentally open a door when you're trying to sneak up on someone. Cancel activation, always want to have hold jump, never hold forward. I could never stress this enough. Hurdle activation as well. Press jump instead of hold forward. You have hold forward for either mantle or hurdle. So accidentally mantle and hurdle things you don't want to mantle or hurdle. Can hurt you, can't help you, don't do it. Auto pick up weapons, I have off. However, it can be very helpful to have on. This one's personal preference, but it will help you win some off spawn fights if you have them on. I also do have preferred item slots on, and I have my shotgun in my first inventory slot, my SMG or spray weapon in my second slot. My third one is always my utility. My fourth one is my heal item, and my fifth one is my AR. If I'm not using an SMG, I will have my mobility in this slot and then my utility in my third slot. So it's pretty common for me to just have it like this. It's mostly personal preference. I do like to have my shotgun in my first slot just so it's the easiest to get to, because that's the kind of item that you need to be able to get to very quickly or you might be eliminated. If you get to your healing item slower, it doesn't make a huge difference sometimes, or your AR a little bit slower, won't make a huge difference, but your shotgun is super important. I like to have that in my first slot. The rest, kind of just personal preference. With this also, I have auto sort consumables to the right. If I ever grab multiple healing items at once, they always just go on the far right side of my inventory. It works fine. It's good. I like to have it. Here are my graphic settings. Not a huge thing. I play in performance mode. I have pretty high brightness, not max brightness, but slightly under. I don't use colorblind mode. I know some people do. I don't really think you gain much of anything from it. It makes the game look weird. It's not really worth it in the current state of the game. I do have view distance and textures turned to epic and meshes on high. You could turn that off if you want, just to make the game run a little bit better, but I do have that on a little bit. Doesn't really make a giant difference, but I like it like that. And my other settings, damage numbers, I have on cumulative instead of list. Some people say that having list on for your damage numbers helps your aim assist. Not true. Cumulative is fine. It makes it to where you could give exact, precise callouts to your teammates whenever you hit them. So I will know exactly how much damage I do to someone and not have to do mental math midway through a fight. So always have damage numbers on cumulative, pretty important. HUD scale, I have at 90%, not at full. I'd like to lower it a little bit because the lower your HUD scale is, the more you can see of the game. Some people run a lower HUD scale than me, also pretty good. I think you just shouldn't make it too low where it's not easy for you to tell what's going on, for you to be able to see everything. So I do like a 90% HUD scale. It's a good starting point. You can raise and lower that as you'd like, but I don't really recommend having a HUD scale above 90%. Also, gyro aiming, don't use it. Don't do it. Don't use gyro aiming unless you have to, unless you have a broken controller or something. Don't use gyro aiming. No pro player uses gyro aiming. It's very hard to be exactly precise with it. It's not worth it. It's definitely worth trying to find your own good personal aim settings than having to resort to using gyro aiming. And that is it. We've gone through every single setting of mine. If you have any questions or comments or anything, let me know. If I missed anything, also let me know in the comments. And yeah, so those are my current settings. I do think I have a lower sensitivity. I think it works very well. Big thing about this season is a lot of people have said that some weapons don't have aim assist and aiming is hard for them with certain weapons like the Striker Burst AR. I don't know if that's a bug or not, but because I run such a low sensitivity, I already don't feel that as much. A lot of people I have seen who have high sensitivities aren't even able to use some of these weapons, but because I run a lower sensitivity, I'm able to control my aim just better. And because of that, those weapons work just fine for me. And so I do recommend maybe even try these settings out. Aim sensitivity is something that is unique to everyone. So, you know, experiment, try what you want, see what works for you. These settings could be a good baseline for you and you can try them, see how you like them. But thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.